three things that I get asked about. Number one was prices. Number two is, well, where do we go from here? Number three is, okay, well, what do I do now? Sales were up and prices were down. They'll go back to raising rates again and make things more difficult on that demand side for people to buy homes. Welcome to the Under the Radar by Garrison Collective Toronto Real Estate Market Update from May 2023. Before we jump into it, please hit like, smash subscribe, or send us a message if you have any questions. So let's dive into it. The Toronto numbers from May 2023 are going to be plastered all over the news. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it all over social media. You've probably seen other videos here on YouTube. You've probably seen the talking heads on the news gloss over them. Well, we're going to go over them one more time just to make sure they're really implanted into your brain. So let's look at it. So sales were up 24.7% over last year. New listings were down almost 19%. Active listings also down almost 23, or sorry, not almost, they were down 23% over last year. And prices were down 1.2%. So those are effectively just flat over last year. So what does this all mean? So we're going to get to that right now because there's usually three things that I get asked about when clients talk about the market. So number one is what's going on with prices. So in this case, prices are going up. They've been going up month after month after month from December 2022 to right now. So what is affecting these prices? So the simplest explanation for that is supply and demand. So if we go back to high school economics, we understand that supply and demand can affect pricing. So right now what we're seeing is a limited amount of supply and a lot of demand. So where is this supply? Where is the supply issue coming from? Well, the number one thing we can point to is stasis. We're seeing a lot of sellers not wanting to make that move up purchase that they normally make. Most of that is due to the current rate environment that we're in. Rates are still elevated, so people who own the homes aren't necessarily looking to move out of them right now. So if they're able to, they're just staying put. The other thing affecting the supply is a much larger, more complicated issue. And most of that is due to the fact that we have been severely underbuilding both like regular freehold homes and rental homes in all over the country, but especially here in the Greater Toronto area, we have been massively underbuilding houses for now decades. There's this interesting article here from Dr. Mike Moffat, who is a great resource on Twitter. He posts right here that the CMHC has predicted for us to solve our housing issue, we would have to build 5.8 million new homes over the next 9 years. Now, that's number just on the surface in a vacuum. You're like, okay, let's build that many homes to solve that problem. The problem is we only built 4 million homes over the last 30 years. So how in hell are we going to be able to build 5.8 million over the next 9 years to solve our housing crisis? Then we will look at the demand side, because it's supply and demand. What is affecting the demand? So there's a couple of things that I've noticed myself and just kind of perusing online and seeing what my colleagues are posting. There's two things that stood out to me. The first one is immigration numbers are up. So foreign students are returning to Canada in large numbers, and just natural immigration has increased, as we've all seen in the news over the last couple of years. Now, before we start yelling and screaming about immigration, we don't want to get to that point in here in this video. There is another factor that kind of flies a little bit under the radar, and that is the millennial demographic. So millennials have hit the age where they are buying houses, and we have flooded the market with new demand and new buyers. So millennials are moving on from their condos or rental apartments, or some of us from our parents' basements, and we are entering the real estate market in large numbers. So these are some of the factors influencing the demand side of the equation that is putting some downwards pressure on price. So the number two thing that I get asked is, okay, so where do we go from here? That's a tough question to answer. We can't always predict the future, but let's look at kind of some of the news right now that will maybe dictate where things might be headed. So one of my real estate colleagues in the business, Daniel Foch, posted this interesting article on Canada being one of the countries highest at risk for a default. That's interesting news. Number two is that the Bank of Canada also just recently announced that they're likely going to be pausing their interest rate hikes. Another interesting tidbit of info that might give some indication about where we go from here. Now, if we look at a trend from last year, the height of the market, the peak in terms of pricing was from February 2022, and the prices progressively went down until about December 2022, and then we started seeing things turn around and move upwards from there. So why do I point that out? Well, the downward trend from last year was interest rates, right? Why were interest rates going up? Well, there was a couple reasons. Number one, they're trying to get inflation under control. But if we look at it just from a housing perspective, they wanted to throw cold water on the demand side to drive down demand to try and rein in pricing. And it worked. So for 8 months straight, prices were going down, right? Month after month after month, we saw a decrease in price until December when things kind of flattened out. Now, from there, we saw a slight change. Mortgage rates went down around that time, and inflation looked like it was coming under control. So the Bank of Canada stopped their rate increases and started pausing, and then started have slight drops to the rates, and it started reinvigorating the market again, and people started coming back into the market. So what does all this mean? So to answer the question of where do we go from here, what I think is going to happen more than likely is that, number one, it's really, really tough to affect. So if we go back to the previous segment when we talk about supply and demand, it's really difficult to all of a sudden overnight increase supply. We're not going to be building hundreds of thousands of homes overnight. There's a process to build more homes and increase inventory. So what are central banks and governments likely to do? They're likely to attack the demand side of the supply-demand equation. So if you remove some of the demand, it should then help balance out that supply-demand metric. So what that generally means is that they're going to change the ways that either we purchase homes, make it a little bit more difficult for buyers to buy houses, or they'll go back to raising rates again, and again, make things more difficult on that demand side for people to buy homes. That's great for a temporary fix. It's not going to fix things long term. So we've got to really hope that the government is serious about getting back into building more homes and to increasing the amount of house options available, not just on the buy side, but on the rental side, and also make things easier for builders to build more homes to get people housed. So number three, the third thing that I get asked is that, what do I do if I'm a buyer or seller then right now, right? So number one was prices. Number two is, well, where do we go from here? Number three is, okay, well, what do I do now if I'm a buyer or seller? Not a simple question, and it's not the same answer for everybody. So if we look at what I generally tell my clients most of the time is, you always have to do what's best for you at any given moment in time. So that's a very vague thing to say, but all it means is, if you're a buyer right now, if you're looking to buy property, you generally have a reason why you're looking to buy. So maybe you're a couple, you're expanding your family, you need more space. You were one of the millennials living in the basement with your parents, and you are getting sick of living there. You have some capital, you're looking to move out of there. You're now looking to buy. Other life events that happened where now you just need to move on from where you're at, you're looking to buy. So there's no better time than right now, if you're a buyer, to buy if you're ready to move on. You can't predict the future, right? Then it's best to go visit your mortgage broker, get your pre-approval, get yourself ready to go right now. Get all your ducks in a row. On the sell side, same thing generally applies to that we just talked about on the buy side. If you need to sell right now, there's no better time than to sell right now. Now, if you don't need to sell, and I have told some of my clients right now, this very thing is that don't sell. If you don't need to sell right now, wait out the market, see what happens. It's very uncertain times right now. There's a lot involved in selling a property that perhaps it is the best time to wait. However, on the flip side, we do need a lot more inventory. So if you are thinking of selling, I would say sell right now. So that's it for this market update. Tune back into the channel. We'll be giving more market insight in our podcast that should be dropping in a week from now, where we'll really delve into the under the radar neighborhood of Fairbank. So watch out for that. We're going to be talking about Fairbank and how it compares to the overall city of Toronto. So definitely watch out for that. Hit like on this video, hit subscribe. There's more videos coming your way. And if you are looking to buy, sell, rent, invest in the city of Toronto, we would love to be your real estate resource. Hit us up at the Calendly link below or email us hello@garrisoncollective.com. We would love to help you out. That's it for today. Peace out.